Have you ever had this dream where you're standing in front of a classroom trying to give a report and you were poorly prepared? Oh, and in addition, you're naked. You totally forgot to put your clothes on. Oh, I hate that dream. There is absolutely nothing in the world like feeling embarrassed and stupid and foolish because you're not ready. Today's episode is called I'm Not Ready. There are a lot of things in life we're actually not ready for. Some of us weren't ready to be parents. Uh, you know, you had sex with your boyfriend, you had sex with your girlfriend. She's 14, you're 15. Yeah, you're not ready to be a parent, but oh my word, she's pregnant. And guess what? The end result is a baby. I've known a few young couples like that. It was really disastrous, like terribly difficult for them and for their parents, both sets, and even really, truthfully, very difficult for their children. Something we need to help our children understand, and it's a very important thing to teach them, is there are just some things that you are not ready for yet. If you aren't old enough or wise enough to say, I'm not ready, then I'm going to help you with that. But it would be really good at various points along the journey of life if you can learn to say, I'm not ready. It's very appropriate. Some of you have heard the part about my brain damage, and at one point when I had my brain damage, I was supposed to speak in front of a group about hand applique, a subject I know quite well. My son probably asked me 3 or 4 times the day before, Mom, are you ready for tomorrow? And I said, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm ready. Not understanding that I was actually going to be the person speaking. I actually had some things with me that I had appliqued the day that I ended up talking, but I was very, very underprepared. I was not ready for that. And part of that was on me, and part of that was on some other people, especially when they knew the state of my mind and they didn't help me fully understand the implications. But the point being, I was really underprepared. I was not ready. It's not a good feeling. Let's talk about a couple instances in your child's life where you might have to be the one to say to them, you are not ready, and help them along the way so that they can understand that they should be saying, I'm not ready. Let's talk about a 5-year-old. I've counseled a few people about this, and it's a very challenging thing, but it's probably the best point at which you can handle this. Some 5-year-olds who really don't have good letter recognition and cannot read a single solitary thing, and they are not ready for first grade, should do kindergarten again. Or their socialization skills are horrible. They're uh, super hyperactive and they don't have any perception of the way that they relate to other kids, or they have terrible attention deficit and they're truly not prepared to sit down for an 8-hour day where you have to do very concentrated study as a first grader does. And as a parent, it's a challenging thing to say, I'm going to have to hold my child back for a year. But let me put this another way. Maybe instead of holding them back, what you're doing is you're giving them another year to prepare for a more in-depth education that's going to last for 11 years. Maybe that's the way you need to think about that. And you need to be able to say to your child, you are not ready. And so I'm not going to let you go forward into a place where you're very likely to have failure and then consequent failure year after year because you really weren't prepared yet for this. And so you've got to admit, I'm not ready for this. And I'm telling you, as your mom, as your dad, you aren't ready. And I'm not going to let you proceed. Another place where this might happen is with a kid and driving. Both of my sons were 17 years old when they got their driver's licenses. There were lots of reasons for that. My one son, because I didn't let him. My other son, because he didn't want to. He didn't want the responsibility. He didn't want the cost. He just wasn't ready. And he told me that, Mom, I'm not ready to get my license. That was great. I respected that he knew enough at his age and at his maturity level to literally say to me, I'm not ready. And I respected that. Our kids need to know that because they might think that they're going to get into this relationship and go steady with this guy or this chick and, make out and get closer and closer down a road they don't really need to go down in terms of sexual activity because they might really need to admit to themselves, I'm not ready. I'm only 15 years old. I got no business doing this. And truthfully, both of my sons were in that position. They were not in a big hurry to date. They knew that they wanted to have a certain level of emotional maturity and financial capacity before they started getting serious about girls. Your kids need to be able to know what they are not ready for. They need to have that sense of things, and you need to help them learn that. So, how do you do that? One, you must have an accurate self assessment. If you can't say, yeah, I'm not mature enough for this, chances are really good that you're not. Let's be truthful. But that's a skill that you have to develop to be able to admit to yourself, I'm not mature enough for this. Some kids get out of high school, they have no business going to college yet. They're not ready. They need to be able to say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to study as hard as I need to. I'm not ready to take this education thing seriously. I think I'm going to go to school and, ace party 101, and that's not what I need to be doing. I don't need to be wasting my mom and dad's cash. I don't need to be wasting my time. So I probably don't need to go to college for a year. So I might need to work or, hang out part time or go travel. I'm not ready for college. But that takes a level of maturity to admit to yourself what you're really ready for and what you aren't. And then it takes a willingness to admit it to someone else, especially your folks as a kid. So you might as well get your kids used to this when they're young. Mom, I'm not ready for that. You know what, Dad? I don't think I'm ready for that. That's a really acceptable, smart thing for a person to be able to say. And you need to teach your child how and when to say it. If you say to them, I think you're old enough to go take dance lessons now, and you say, I'm not ready for that because I understand that's going to take a certain amount of commitment of my time. This isn't the words that a 5-year-old's going to say to you. But if they really tell you, I don't want to, or I don't think I can do that, you need to hear the underlying message of I'm not ready. You need to verbalize that for them. Oh, you aren't ready for that yet. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Let's be realistic. Sometimes you're getting ready to go on vacation and you have so much to pack, so much to take care of, so much to think about. You planned on leaving at 8 in the morning, but it's noon already, and you can say in front of your children, I'm not ready. There is a certain amount of frustration in that message, and that's okay. You can admit that. I'm a little frustrated about this, that I'm not ready when I thought I would be, because there are going to be some things they're not ready for, and they might experience some frustration. You can say, I'm really disappointed that I'm not ready for this, but I'm not, so that they can acknowledge they might be somewhat disappointed about not being able to go on to first grade or even third grade. I'm not ready. That's a challenging thing. They need to know there can be emotions that come along with that, and it's appropriate. Just because you're not ready at 8 o'clock doesn't mean you're not going on vacation at all. That's what they need to know. Just because you aren't ready for this right this moment, or right this month, or right this year, it doesn't mean it's never going to happen at all. It just means it'll happen a little later or a little differently than you might have originally planned. And that's perfectly okay. Help your child to understand sometimes we just aren't ready for things, and that's all right. Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.